First day was disappointing. Made me question my decision, because we only sold like $120. Investment and all that, I started questioning my decision. I was like, oh God, I think I made a mistake. That was 1 week of selling every day, same amount, $150. And we took some time off for Christmas. I came back by myself and just kept on working. Eventually sales started going up. We started getting popular. Got to a point months later that I actually quit my jobs.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast. Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you're from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome.
All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are a returning listener, we do appreciate you spending your time with us. And if you're new here, we bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And we're excited to bring you another story here today. Scott, we didn't talk about our pregame today, but rather than just to go into food, which is tied into our guest, you described this idea or this feeling rather that you like to see someone being the best or succeeding, right? And it's always nice to hear stories of people coming here and trying something out and succeeding. What do you get? Do you also enjoy those stories from our guests when they've more than that is building something from nothing? That's something that you've shared with me before.
Yeah, it's good. And we had a guest a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember actually who it was, but it was such a clean, clear story of growth and success.
Oh, was that Lord Empanada?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was. And, that is really fun to see how something has grown. You could see what was leading up to it, and you knew that it was going to result in success, and you could see that, and
Sure.
It was communicated. That's exciting.
Yeah. And of course, so there's a tie into food, and it's always fun to see people try different ventures and different types of food in the San Gabriel Valley, especially because it's extremely competitive here, and there's so many great choices. Yeah. So it's always really neat to come across a success story.
What's a real shame is that there are so many places to go, such a variety and great places. And then you get into a rut of going to the same place every time,
Sure.
And actually, today's story is somewhat interesting. I was at home with my daughter, and she wanted to go get something to eat. And so she checked, let's get some Mexican food, right? And then she saw birria tacos, and she said, I want to try those, And that led us to today's guest.
Yeah, I actually was shocked that you had gone there because I never would have thought that you would have gone there on your own.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like you wouldn't have said or even driving by saying I'll try that.
It's not that unusual. I would do it, but it was my daughter who took me there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of great food places in the San Gabriel Valley, a lot of other things that you can find out on San Gabriel Valley Now, your source for city news, announcements, events, special savings, and everything SGV. Check them out on Instagram, sgv.now, and read their SGV Now magazine on their website, sgvnow.com. Well, that brings us to our guest today. And like you said, you found him with your daughter going out on a food adventure. And I think you sent me a picture from there. But
yeah, I did.
Yeah. And the food, I imagine, was really good. I haven't had a chance to try it, but I'm excited to. Let me introduce our guest. His name is Alvaro Ontiveros, and he's the owner of Birria Master. Alvaro, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
So Birria Master, this is your creation, your company, your restaurant. Tell us about it.
Yes. Birria Master started about almost 3 years ago. It's funny that you said, you mentioned Lord Empanada because Lord Empanada is actually my friend.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. We've known each other for a while, and I was there when he started his business.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm very happy for him. And we started about around the same time. During the pandemic, I lost my job. I was bartending. So I was struggling for a while to find a job. Eventually, I went to a one of those night markets that popped out in downtown LA. I don't know if you guys remember Avenue 26, where the famous tacos were in Lincoln Heights. So one of my friends invited me to go. and I saw all these vendors, and I was like, oh, I think I should do something. So I decided to open up a taco spot, but I didn't know what to do. And then I remember that one day I had birria tacos that I really liked. So I was like, I want to make birria tacos. But I didn't know how to make birria. So I had to go online on YouTube and watch like 50 different videos of how to make birria. It was a success. I kind of like did a blend of all the different recipes that I saw. And it was process. It was not like the birria was the best at the very first time that we made it, but it was good. And then over the time, like I will say about a year of making it 5 days a week, we kind of like got the process right. And that's how Birria Master started during the pandemic when I lost my job.
A lot of stories we've heard came out of the pandemic like that. Let's go back, Alvaro, though. What is your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
Well, I lived in San Gabriel Valley for 21 years now. I was born and raised in Mexico, and I came over when I was 18 years old, still a baby. A single guy, 18 years old, coming to the U.S. on his own.
On your own?
Yeah, on my own.
Where were you born in Mexico?
I was born in a small town called San Rafael in the municipality of El Marqués in the state of Querétaro. Querétaro is a small state that is north from Mexico City, about 3 hours north.
And then what led you to go to the U.S. and what was that process like?
It's a funny story. I came here just to because of curiosity. I had friends that were here, so they would send me pictures and talk to me about it. So I was like, I'm going to go there for a year and just live there for a year and then go back to my hometown. And that year turned into 21 years. Yeah.
Well, and you just came here by yourself, or you came here and you had friends over here, you said, though?
I had friends that I knew, but I came here on my own.
And your family was all back in Mexico?
Yes.
Wow. I guess at 18, that's different than, coming over as someone younger, but still 18 is quite young to...
And it was your choice, though. It's not like you came with family. It's what you wanted to do.
Yes. Yeah. When I got here, it was tough, finding a job, a place to live. Didn't speak the language, so I had to go to school for that. And it was just a whole process. And everything's happened in the San Gabriel Valley. Actually, to be more specific, in Pasadena.
Oh, so you came here from Mexico and you landed in Pasadena?
Yes.
Ah, and what did you first do when you came here?
My first job was as a dishwasher at Buca di Beppo.
Oh, on Green Street.
On Green Street. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
I remember that place. It's funny. I still remember the recipes. 21 years after.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I still remember the food recipes, the pizza, because I used to make pizza too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it exciting coming here when you first got here? Was it scary?
It was scary, but it was exciting at the same time. I remember the first time I walked on Villa Park. The difference in the city, like you wouldn't see a park like that in a normal neighborhood in Mexico. Even though Villa Park is not one of the prettiest parks, but it's still way prettier than most of the parks in Mexico. The houses, I remember looking at the houses, the stores, everything looks different. So everything for me was new and exciting at the beginning, yeah.
So were your friends also here in Pasadena?
There was one friend in Pasadena, a few of them in Vegas, and then I had another friend, but he was all the way in New York.
So you're working at Buca di Beppo, and I imagine like you're just experienced the USA and California in this, through Pasadena. What were you reaching for? What were you hoping for in the future for you at that point?
At the beginning, it was more of saving money to travel in the country and get to know more of the country. As time went by, I started going to school to learn the language. So that turned into more of a drive to learn and take like a short career, I would say. Like I started taking business classes at the Pasadena City College Community College. The CEC, I think it's called, Pasadena Community College. And after that, I started working in an office. But it was, I think that my drive at the beginning turned from just getting to travel in the country to learning about restaurant management. I think I've always had this idea of opening up my own restaurant, and it just seemed like like a dream, like almost an impossible dream to open up your own restaurant in San Gabriel Valley, because it's so hard and so it's expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, so you were taking business classes and English classes, and then you started working in an office.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people work in a corporate job and have these dreams and, aspirations to have their own business, some are restaurants, some other things. But very few people actually make that jump, from working for someone to working on their own. And, where does your journey go after working in the office?
So the office that I'm talking about it was actually a tea company. It's called International Tea Importers. I started working for them in their tea shop in Pasadena. That was actually my first managing job. I transferred to the corporate office, and I was the director of sales for their company. And I was with that company for over 12 years.
Oh, wow.
From working at the tea shop, serving tables, to managing for almost 7 years, and then transferring to the corporate office. And it was a lot of learning. Process was definitely not easy, especially because my knowledge in tea was non-existent. And then from there, I was transferred to sales, and then I had no idea how to do sales. They're like, oh, you're gonna be selling tea because now you know about tea, so you're gonna be selling tea, and talking to all those big companies. They deal with huge companies like Coca-Cola, Republic of Tea. Those are huge accounts, and I had to talk to some of them, and it was just scary, like talking to all these corporate people when you have no experience at all. It was a lot of learning from them in terms of structure, how to deal with big companies like this. So when the pandemic pushed me to start my own business, all this knowledge that I got from them actually was very helpful to me. I was doing marketing, I was doing sales, I was doing events. I was traveling all over the country doing festivals, conventions, like the Bar and Restaurant Expo in Las Vegas. I do that every year now. The World Tea Expo, San Francisco Tea Festival.
Are you still doing this?
I'm only doing the Bar and Restaurant Expo now.
For
year.
the tea company?
Not for them. So now I'm working for the tea festival itself. When I left the company, they called me to work with them doing tea cocktails. Since I have a background on bartending and tea, they wanted me to combine both.
Oh, is that a new
craft tea cocktails.
Is that a new concept, or is?
It's been there for a few years.
Uh-huh.
The tea and alcohol infusion has been there for a few years now. It's still pretty new to most of the industry. A lot of the bars don't want to experiment with it, but they don't have an idea on a working knowledge on tea.
Are you creating new products?
Yes.
You're making new kinds of drinks.
Yeah. I had to create a new menu for them each year. But I also, in the bars that I worked at, I was also making at least one tea cocktail was on the menu all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting combination.
Well, 12 years at a tea company, too. You must have learned a lot about tea.
Yes, it's funny. It's funny that you mention it, because when you go to a tea shop, a lot of stories that they tell you about the tea or where the tea comes from, a lot of it, it's not that it's wrong. It's just not completely true.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this tea that we used to sell, and we used to market it as tea directly coming from Mauritius, the Mauritius island, with Mauritius vanilla. I truly believed that story, but it turned out that it was a black tea coming from India with artificial vanilla flavoring. I didn't know. That's the story that was told, and then that's the story I was selling to the customers, but I didn't know. When you go work in the importing business in tea, you learn all these secrets and all these things that you wouldn't imagine. So normal people think that they know about tea, but there's a lot more behind it.
Yeah, when I had my beverage business or whatever. We were learning about tea, and I sat down with the owner of Tenren in San Gabriel. I didn't know he was the owner, but then I later found out. And he did this little tea ceremony with me. And he was talking to me about tea, but I knew something about tea, right? But he was pushing a lot of darker roasted, older teas, and I knew that product was older, like a lot older than the younger stuff that was there. Is it true that tea is actually there's only one tea plant?
Yes.
Right, and it's different levels of the plant that they gather the tea from.
Yes, there's only one plant. There's it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Camellia sinensis.
Tea is actually only one plant.
Wow.
One bush.
I never knew that.
There's two main differences. The Camellia sinensis is Chinese, and the Camellia samica is from India. The difference is on the size of the leaf. The
Yeah.
Camellia sinensis is small leaf, sweeter,
Really?
and the Assamica is larger and bolder, so it's better for large productions of tea.
Wow, that is so unexpected to hear
Yes.
because you see all these different kinds of teas, and it's all from the same kind of plant. Well, two plants, you say.
It's basically one. It's just a variation of the first one.
Is all tea grown in India and China, or
No.
Japan, Taiwan.
Yeah, but there's a lot of tea growing in Africa
Oh yeah.
and in now in the United States too.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest producer in country in the Americas is actually, I think, Argentina. They produce most of the tea for Lipton.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's cheap, basic tea that they
Wow,
use for
that's
their chai tea blend.
fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, this topic of tea. And where in the U.S. is tea grown?
In the northern states.
Oh, really?
I think
Cold?
one of them is Wisconsin.
Really? And that's colder weather,
Colder weather.
but India is a different climate entirely.
Yes, but the tea plant needs a lot of rain.
Oh,
And a lot of the places in India are like in the mountains, so it's foggy most of the year. Yeah, like in the mornings they have like foggy mornings and afternoons. So the sun doesn't hit the plant that much during the day.
And matcha is only the very young, like top part of the plant, the very young green
yeah?
bud. Yeah.
The best grades, yes.
Yeah.
oh yeah, you're right. Because there's green tea, black tea, but it's all
Different roast level. Some are fermented, but it's all the same
Yeah.
plant.
Yep. I have a friend from Tokyo. They produce like the best matcha in the world. It's incredible. It's so creamy and sweet when you make it. Every time he comes back to the US, he brings me samples.
Wow. I'd love to try.
Yeah.
So sorry about this tangent on tea. I really enjoy
No,
tea.
I enjoy talking about tea. It's a huge part of my life.
Yeah, I can see that. Can you clarify this? So I know in coffee that people believe that like a darker roast equates to higher caffeine levels, but from what I understand, green coffee is actually the highest, so light roasted coffee. And it's my understanding that the same is true with tea. The same compounds are degraded with like a darker roasted tea versus like a light roast tea. Is that what you know?
Not necessarily, actually. It's kind of true, but the difference in caffeine in tea has to do a lot with the amount of tea that you use. So, for example, when you consume a black tea, you get like the normal, like the normal expected amount of caffeine, and then some people think that white tea has less caffeine than black tea, which is not true. It has the same amount of caffeine. The main difference comes when you consume something like matcha. Because when you consume matcha, you're not just infusing the leaf, you're actually consuming the leaf.
Yeah.
So all the caffeine that's present in there, you're going to absorb it rather than infusing the leaf. So the longer you infuse it, the more caffeine you get. Also, the more bitter the tea will get because it releases more of the polyphenols, and caffeine is one of the first compounds to dissolve in the water when the infusion starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And caffeine, I think, is naturally quite bitter, right? It's a
Yes.
deterrent for other animals to eat
Yes.
and whatnot.
It's what they call it, a self-defense mechanism for
Yeah.
the plant.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Isn't that interesting, right? Like,
yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So we're sort of way off topic now, but,
That's okay.
but I'm glad that we got into your passion and knowledge for tea. So you said that you were bartending and then the pandemic hit. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you went to Avenue 26, saw some vendors, and then you YouTubed like how to do it, and you started. How did you actually start doing it, and when was your first time actually selling to the public?
So when I saw that there was potential, I decided to do the tacos, and then I researched. I made birria for the first time. It was December 16. Yeah, December 16, 2020. I used the last money. Actually, I had like $1,500 left in my account, so I used it to buy a griddle, tables, a tent, a basic light. I had no tablecloth on my table. Containers for the salsa and cheese I bought them at the Dollar Tree store because I didn't have any more money left. I had no generator for the lights, so I had to ask someone to let me borrow it from them when I set up next to them. So the first day that we started selling tacos, birria was really good, but no one knew us. Like, we were not popular. So they were going to the other stands next to us to get food. And then my friend will be like, "Hey, tacos, come over. They're really good." So we were shouting in the middle of the street.
This is at Avenue 26.
Avenue 26, okay. Yes. First day was disappointing. It's made me question my decision, because we only sold like $120. The salary to pay my friend that was helping me was going to be like $130 per day. So investment and all that, I started questioning my decision. I was like, oh, God, I think I made a mistake. We went back the next day to sell again. And that was 1 week of selling every day, same amount, $150. And it will change a little bit, but that was mainly it. We took Christmas, we took some time off for Christmas, and then I came back by myself. And after that, I didn't ask my friend to help me, and just kept on working. Eventually sales started going up. We started getting popular. Got to a point months later that I actually quit my jobs and focus on the taco business, on Birria Master alone.
Go back to the beginning for a minute, where you decided to open.
Yeah.
But how much did you analyze or investigate? What was needed to be successful? What kind of planning did you have to do? What did you expect? Did you have, certain projections that you thought you were going to make or you needed to make? What was it like from a business planning standpoint?
I'll be completely honest with you. At the beginning, there was no business plan. At the beginning, it was more of a alternative source of income. The idea was to survive during the pandemic, selling tacos, and then going back to my regular job. That was the idea.
So you just thought, I can make money selling tacos. Mm-hmm. Pretty much that was what.
Yes, that was the idea.
Motivated you.
Yes, make money selling tacos, get out of the pandemic, and then go back to my normal job. That was the idea. As time went by and sales started increasing, that idea changed.
Okay.
Since I have some background on marketing and business planning after the tea company, I started doing sales projections and figuring out how much money I needed to make each day, how many tacos I needed to sell, work a little more on my food cost, finding better sources for my ingredients.
So then it's a matter of refining your operations.
Yes,
to make more money.
Exactly. At the beginning, I was buying my ingredients from the normal, grocery store. Then I opened up an account at Restaurant Depot, which allowed me to save money on my food costs because they do wholesale, and also since I had a business license, I was able to save on the taxes. So that allowed me to have a bigger margin of profits.
How long did you stay at Avenue 26?
A year. 1 year.
So to late 2021.
Late 2021 when it got shut down by the city.
Okay. And then were you just out of work then?
Before that happened, we started opening up in Highland Park. We relocated to Highland Park.
Okay.
At the bar that I used to work at was right next door, so we relocated to Highland Park, and It was for a very short period of time. Sales there were not great because we're in the middle of the pandemic, so there was not a lot of foot traffic. There was not a lot of people on the streets, so sales were pretty low. So I decided to close temporarily until we found a better location. So Birria Master was closed for about 2 months.
So now you're talking about early 2022.
Mm-hmm. Early 2022 when we shut down, and then we got invited to go to Pico Rivera Sports Arena and sell there. Inside the sports arena every weekend. That was our next spot.
So
Right.
weekends only.
Yeah.
But was it good business?
It was very successful. Our sales there were pretty good. We had more employees now. We had 4 employees working. Our sales there more than quadruple. I think up to that point, Birria Master was just another source of income. When we started doing bigger sales in Pico Rivera, that's when the idea of hit me. Like, this is an actual business now. We have employees. This is my main source of income. And I started doing more investment into the Birria Master company, buying more equipment, hiring influencers to promote us on their page, and then opening up our second location, which is the one that you saw us at on Rosemead Boulevard, the one that you visited.
Right. I went to, you were on Rosemead near Colorado, near Colorado.
Yes.
And you're still there.
That's our only location now.
Okay.
Yes. We just, after like saving money for a while, we finally got our first food trailer. We just got it about a month ago, so we now have our food trailer. Now we're not setting up the tent anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when I went there, it was a tent.
Yes.
And what you would just set it up every day at 4 or 5 or something like that?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay. And operate. How late do you operate?
We start from 6 to 11.
Okay.
And what is a food trailer? Like you tow it behind a vehicle and everything is already there and set up?
Yes.
And then what's the next step after that for you?
We went to, actually for about 6 months ago, we almost opened up a restaurant, like a brick and mortar place inside there's a new food market. I think it's called Haven City in West Covina. We got invited to join them and get a spot there. We were very close to opening that place, but we decided to wait because we were a little afraid of the economy, how it was going to be this coming year on 2024. So we decided to wait on that. But the next step for us is opening up our own restaurant.
Well, I'm starting off where you couldn't make enough to pay your one worker, and then having to go back and then just do it on your own. Were there times where you were like, I'm just going to give this up and
Yes.
not do it anymore?
Yeah, definitely. I think that happened during the first 2 months where our sales were pretty low and I was barely making enough money to survive. I seriously questioned myself and the idea of just shutting down and go back to find a regular job was there like every day.
And what made you push through that? What made you, continue to do what you were doing and imagine that it would be successful?
I think that my main motivation was my family. Like we had a 1-year-old baby, and we found out that we were pregnant again. So I had to keep on going. There was when you're a parent, there's no choice. You just have to keep going. During the pandemic, we also opened up a barbershop, which is in front of my house. So we opened up the barbershop. At the same time, I was working on the taco business. So I would come back from the taco, from Birria Master, from selling in downtown LA, and work on the shop, like fixing things, painting, setting up. I created the website. All of that I will do after the taco business from like midnight to like 2-3 in the morning, and then go to sleep. So we just had to keep on pushing, going. There's no option. Luckily, Birria Master started doing better, and that helped me a lot.
Yeah. Well, Alvaro, we ask each guest to bring an item of significance with them. What did you bring with you today?
I have a picture of my kids, my babies.
Oh, your two.
See
Yeah, you can put it right here. Yeah, 2 children.
My 2
Awesome.
babies right there.
What are their names?
Oh, so the boy's name is Alvaro, typical Mexican, giving his first name to his baby, his firstborn. So his name is Alvaro Leonardo, and the girl's name is Olivia.
Nice. And they are 1 and 2?
Right now they are almost 4 and 2.
Oh, 4 and 2.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so you're just that alone. You must be quite busy.
Yes. They keep us busy. Between that and the 2 businesses, we're always running around. Forgetting things all the time. But they're great kids. Very smart. They're big reason why Birria Master is so successful. I think I wouldn't have kept on going if it wasn't for them. Also, I was one of the persons who wanted to be single and forever, travel, go to Europe, Latin America, single forever, until I had my first baby, and that completely changed my life. Now I wouldn't change it for anything. My family's, very important. But yeah, this is the big reason why we're still here.
Thank you.
Wow, so you have a barber shop.
Yes.
Do you actually cut hair yourself? Or?
No.
Oh.
My wife asked me to go to school and learn. I am not very comfortable touching other people's hair. So I always tell her, joking, I'm the cook in the family.
Oh, yeah. Right.
My wife didn't know how to cook when we first met. So I was doing all the cooking. Now she's...
Oh. Is she from Mexico too?
Yes. She's from Guadalajara.
Oh.
So do you just employ barbers to work?
My wife is a barber.
Oh, okay.
So she works there, and we employ 3 more people.
I see.
When I went that night, you were not cooking though.
No.
That the other guy was cooking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Alvaro, thank you for sharing the picture of your children there, and they seem to be a really important and motivating factor in the success of Birria Master and the barbershop as well. That's actually the same sentiment expressed yesterday with our guest, that the driving force was their young child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seriously think that there's no bigger motivation than that, having your children and providing for them. It's especially during such tough times like the pandemic, I think the same thing happened to Lord Empanada. He started selling empanadas because he was out of work, selling in breweries and stuff like that. And when I found out we were doing the same thing, setting up and selling in the street, I was like, oh, interesting. And then he opened up his own place. So I was very happy for him. He's actually going to be his 3rd anniversary on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's incredible how time flies. During the pandemic, it seemed like it was eternal.
Sure.
First, they said, 2 weeks, then a month, and then turned into 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alvaro, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'd like to get into more of what you have in store for your company, both companies, and we can talk about that. But let's take a quick break.
Okay.
At WarmuthLaw, they believe that just because you speak a foreign language, come from a different culture, or simply don't know how to navigate the legal system, that should not prevent you from compensation from injury or receiving benefits. Their multicultural staff have been helping SGVers like you for over 38 years. Visit law888.com or call them at 626-784-7017 and tell them you heard about them on this podcast.
All right, we're back with Alvaro. Alvaro, before the break, we were talking about your children and them as a motivating force in your life, which is... I know that they're very motivating, perhaps even the most motivating thing that a person can have. Before we go on with your story, Alvaro, we like to ask questions from this card deck called Icebreakers after the break, and they're just a lighthearted question. You can choose to answer it or not. It's just a way for our audience to get to know each of us a little bit better.
Okay.
So here we go. What was the first thing you remember buying with your own money? I'll start this because I know what it was. It was a cassette tape It was a Milli Vanilli cassette tape.
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, and then so it's funny because I remember like I bought this with my own money, and then when it came out that they were like lip singing, and I was like, wow, that's
That's interesting.
But yeah, that's what I bought with my own money. The first one was a Milli Vanilli album on cassette.
Hey, she just transported me back in time. The first thing I bought with our own money is actually me and my uncle. My uncle is my same age. I think we were 15. We bought a video game console, PS1. That was the first thing we bought with our own money because we had to help each other to buy it because we couldn't afford it
Sure.
on our own. So that was the first thing I bought with my own money. In Mexico, I was doing construction.
Cool. Did it feel good to
The best, the best feeling ever. It was funny because we would plug it in our room, but somehow there was something wrong with the antenna connection. We're playing in our room, and then when my grandpa will turn the TV on his own room on the first floor, he will see what we were doing on our TV. It was crazy.
Wow. And what about you, Scott?
I can't remember. It's terrible. But I can't remember at all. Either I haven't made my own money yet, or I'm just too old to remember.
Well, you probably spent from your paper route, right? You got paid for that?
Probably paper route, and it could very well have been a record. Back then it was 45s, the small singles. It could very well have been a record.
What about comic books? Did you ever buy comic books?
I did, yes. I liked Archie, and comic books, and books too. Yeah. What I really liked was subscribing to a magazine when I was like second, third grade. Yeah.
Wow. Well, what was the first thing you remember buying with your own money? If you're listening or watching online, let us know in the comments, and we'll be sure to mention that in a future episode. Well, Alvaro, back to you and your business. You said you hope to open a brick and mortar for Birria Master, and you sort of had an offer, but you wanted to hold off on that. Is that the location that you want, or do you have aspirations for somewhere else that you want to open the restaurant?
We want to open up somewhere else. I think that the location that we have now with the food trailer is gonna be there as long as we can keep it there, But we want to open in a different place. We want to do, I think, somewhere in the San Gabriel Valley as well, just not in Pasadena, maybe Alhambra or somewhere else. But we want to get our own space with our own parking lot. We don't want to be next to, like in a mall setting with all of the other businesses, just because we need our own space. I think it works better for us. The one in West Covina, the main thing that stopped us from opening it, as I said, was the uncertainty in the economy. We didn't know if we were going to go into recession or not, and it's a huge investment. It's a lot of money to open up a spot. We didn't want to take the risk and decided to wait until next year to see if the economy was stable enough for us to risk, our life savings and also our investors' money. So yes, that's the idea. Opening up our own place somewhere in the San Gabriel Valley, and hopefully we can do it towards the end of 2024.
Can you talk about the food for a minute? Because I went there and it was delicious. Explain what a birria taco is.
So birria is originally from Guadalajara, from Jalisco, and there's different styles. It got very popular in Tijuana when they started doing tacos and adding cheese, which they call queso tacos.
Is that a molita?
The molita is the one with one tortilla at the bottom, cheese,
yes,
and then
yes.
tortilla on top.
Okay, yes.
So it's just the same thing, basically. Just a folded tortilla now with cheese in the middle, and then the birria. The Tijuana style birria tacos got so popular and eventually crossed over to San Diego and then LA, and it started getting so popular. But they're different from the one in Jalisco. So the ones in Jalisco, there's Jalisco style and there's Tijuana style.
What kind did I have?
Birria Master style.
Oh, so even a new style.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's funny because it happened because I didn't know how to make the tacos. So
you improvised?
Yes.
Oh.
I improvised. I didn't know how they make them, so I started just improvising and making it the way that I thought was right. Turned out that I was wrong, and we created a new style. Also, our birria recipe is different from everyone else's.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's unique.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you will not find another birria like ours.
Oh, okay.
Is birria traditionally goat?
Yes.
It's traditionally goat, right?
Yes, the traditional recipe takes goat.
And do you use goat or do you use beef?
We use beef.
Beef.
Mainly because it's easier to source, also cheaper, and a lot of people don't like goat.
Yeah.
They're a little afraid of the aftertaste.
And what part of the cow is it brisket? Is it what cuts do you use for
The specific cut that we use is called inside round, which is part of the leg.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. And I see you have other offerings other than just birria. I see there's it looks like some sort of, is it a Korean hot dog?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that. How are you offering that?
I didn't see that.
Yes. I think I saw it at a mall, and I was so curious, and I bought one, but it was very disappointing because it looked really good, but it lacked flavor. So, but I liked the way it looked. I was like, oh, this looks really good. So I started.
What does it look like?
It's like an American corn dog, but
Oh.
the batter is different, and it comes with different toppings on. So it could come with like potatoes on the outside, like small cubes of potatoes that you deep fry along with the corn dog, and then you add ketchup, mustard, or a special, like you can make a special aioli and put it on top. You can add hot Cheetos. You can add all these different ingredients, and they're just really cool. And the main difference is that inside the corn dog is half cheese, half sausage, half link. So you get a cheesy corn dog, which is pretty good. So I started experimenting with it. It took me about 10 days to get the recipe right. Like 10 days trying it out each day to get like the one that I liked. And people love them. They're really popular.
And this is your own style again.
The batter, yes, my own recipe. Well, the style, we still, very aligned with the popular market. Yeah.
And you offer, is it birria ramen?
Yes, I think that's our one of the biggest sellers.
Really?
Yes. The recipe has changed over the time. We were doing like those frozen noodles that they sell in 5-pound bags in Restaurant Depot, and they're good. They're better than the like the cup of noodles, instant noodles that you normally get when you go to a birria place. They open up a cup and then they add their consommé and they just hand it over to you.
Yeah.
We thought that it was a little too simple to call it ramen. So I was, after doing research for a long time, I found a company, local company, by the way, that all they do is ramen and soup base. So I contacted them and they brought me some samples of fresh made local noodles, traditional Japanese style. They use no preservatives, fresh, local. I was like, oh, I was so happy. And it turned out to be cheaper than the cup of noodles or the noodles that I was buying. Then they also brought me samples of their soup base, the tonkotsu's bone broth. So we started experimenting with that as well, adding that bone base and mixing it with our consommé. And we got our new consommé soup.
Oh, that sounds good.
Fusion between both. And then we started adding the boiled egg. The birria that we put on the ramen is not the one that we use for the tacos. So we reserve a big chunk of meat and then kind of like cook it on the griddle and make it crispy, and that changes the flavor. It like intensifies the flavor of the meat, and it goes great with the noodles. So our birria ramen we're really proud of it.
Oh yeah, it sounds really good. Is the birria tacos, is that your number one seller and product?
Yes, the birria tacos are by far the best seller.
Yeah,
I think 70% of our sales come from the tacos.
Did you get the consommé when you went, Scott? Like that you dip your taco in? I guess you can also drink it like a soup, right?
Yeah.
Adding like lemon or onion and cilantro and.
No,
Yeah.
I remember just a taco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most popular thing we have on the menu is what we call the combo, which is 3 tacos, a drink, and a cup of the consomme.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have any consomme. No.
Yeah, you should try it next time you go. It's really good.
Yeah.
And if people go there, they're going to see you there at your stand on Rosemead?
Yes. Yeah. I'm always there with a few exceptions. When we have special events and then we have to split the team, then I usually go to the special event and the guys stay behind, but I'm there most of the time.
Awesome. Well, Alvaro, we're going to move on to our final segment of the show where we get to know the things that you like in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah. So, Alvaro, tell us about your SGV3.
Okay, so my favorite, I think I have to go with Old Town Pasadena, just in general. It's just so many memories there, my first job
Oh, yeah, at the Italian restaurant.
at the Buca di Beppo, then my first serving job that was actually at the place that closed down. It was called Akbar, Indian cuisine on Union and Fair Oaks. That was my first serving job. Then my first managing job was at Chado Tea Room when I was selling tea. So a lot of memories there. My favorite Mexican restaurant is also there, Maestro, which is a great Mexican place.
Oh, yeah? Where is that?
That's on Union Street in the Big Bang Theory alley by, I think it's King Taco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite Mexican restaurant in the area.
Oh, there's King Taco, and then Maestro, is it right next to it?
Almost right next to it. There's
Right. Okay, I know. Yeah.
Yes, I also managed there for about a year.
Ah.
I was a general manager, and I had to leave, and I was very sad. But yeah, that's my favorite Mexican place. Just Old Town Pasadena has a lot of memories of me working, and it's funny because when I'm walking in the area, there's a lot of people that know me, so they're always saying hi.
Oh, yeah?
And then my wife gets a little annoyed because she's like, "You know everyone." Because I spend here a lot of time, so I know a lot of people there.
Yeah, it's a great place. Yeah.
Yes.
How about number 2?
Number 2, I think number 2 place in the San Gabriel Valley will be Foothill Restaurant. That's my number 2. I have a lot of friends there, and I met a lot of great people there that are like big part of my family. They're always around. So that'll be my number 2, Foothill Restaurant on Foothill Boulevard.
Yeah, that's funny. That's come up twice in the last 3 shows, I think.
Foothill Restaurant?
Foothill Restaurant, yeah. Not as an SGV3, but just the mention of it because of Lord Empanada.
Because of Lord Empanada and a lot of other friends that support me. Up to this day, they're always coming to support me and buy tacos from us, send us new people over. It's just, very, very nice place to be, to have dinner. We go there at least once a week to have dinner with the family.
How do you describe that food at Foothill?
I would describe it more as of a modern American food.
Okay. As opposed to the Tui's traditional food.
Yes, the Tui's traditional, which is the concept that I started with, I think didn't work out very well for them, and they were forced to change their take and turn it into Foothill. I believe they opened Tui's again, but on
Fair Oaks.
On Fair Oaks, South Pass.
Yeah.
Where Carmine's used to be. It's funny, I used to make pizzas for Carmine's too.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that was Carmine's, yeah.
Yeah, Carmine's was there.
Wow, you've been at a lot of restaurants.
Yes, 21 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
even though I was working for the teen company, I always kept on working in the restaurant industry.
Yeah. What's a third spot?
The Arboretum. The Arboretum on
on
Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite places too, just to take the family and walk so they can see the nature and all this.
Are you able to go there often?
Yeah, we try to go at least once a month.
Oh, yeah.
The kids love it.
Yeah.
They love walking and chasing the squirrels and stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you try to touch the peacocks?
Peacocks are all over the place.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and they're eating my plants.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Well, Alvaro, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing, your journey and your story with us and our audience. If people want to go get Birria Master, how can they find you?
They can find us on Instagram at Birria Master. But we're located at 180 South Rosemead Boulevard in Pasadena. We always tell people that we're across the street from the Dollar Tree store. That's the easiest way for them to find us.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly where that is. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Alvaro. I appreciate you sharing your story with us, and I hope that it inspires someone else to maybe chase their dreams and stick with it if they're maybe struggling or concerned that it's not working out in the beginning as they wish, because yours is definitely a story of that, of overcoming that initial 2 months as you described it. But yeah, congratulations on you and Birria Master, and best wishes for a really prosperous future for you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Another story from a person right here in the San Gabriel Valley. It's, tacos and going out to these different food experiences can be challenging if you don't know what they're about, right? Because you can see a lot of them, but it really, to hear the story of someone behind the business and to know what they've gone through, and then to hear their excitement and passion to bring different types of food to us, that really would entice me to go check them out. So check them out, Birria Master on South Rosemead, across from the Dollar Tree in East Pasadena. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you like this kind of content and you want to check out more, our full catalog of episodes are on our website, mysgv.net. And until next week, we'll see you then.
Thank you for joining us on the My SGV podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Russell Mono and edited by Victoria Allers of Kind Monster Productions. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice mother. No, kind mother.